Hello and happy rainy Friday, everybody. Here's what's coming up tonight on Now. The governor is pushing a bill to make people pay for Narcan if they are abusers of it. We will talk about that.
Representative Bruce Poliquin yesterday said that the new health care bill they passed through the House yesterday would only affect 7% of Mainers. Is that true?
And what do you do if a black bear shows up on your deck?
This is News Center Now.
Happy Friday, everybody. Welcome to the News Center Now. I'm Lee Goldberg.
And I am Amanda Hill. We're starting with a pretty sensitive topic. First responders and recovery advocates are taking issue with a bill proposed by Governor LePage, which would require people to pay for being revived with Narcan. That's a drug often used by first responders on someone who is overdosing.
Now, the bill would make anyone who's revived more than once pay for the costs associated with the emergency response. Chris, you spoke with people who have been revived by naloxone before, and they say the bill could discourage people from even calling in the first place.
Yeah, Lee and Amanda, one man I spoke with says this bill could add to the stigma around drug use and make those people feel like a burden or that they don't deserve the treatment. Some first responders don't believe this bill is realistic.
Inside the Scarborough Police Department,
that's all right with you, right?
Justin Reed is volunteering for Operation Hope, helping to find a detox bed for someone who wants to stop using drugs.
It played a vital role in my recovery, and now I just can hope that I do that for some other people as well. And my name's Justin Reed, and I'm a volunteer.
It's a position he was once in himself after first responders revived him with naloxone.
That's pretty much the most desperate, dark place I think you can be.
Justin says forcing those who overdose to pay for emergency services could prevent them or someone else from calling for help.
Cost can just add stress, and ultimately, I think in this case, could cost somebody their life.
Sanford Fire Department's chief, Steve Benatti, says the specifics of the bill are flawed.
I fully believe that it won't work at all.
Right now, first responders do not itemize their bills under current law. Chief Benatti says some people they have rescued are on public assistance, and that billing those people would essentially be a larger bill to the state. And trying to find out if a person has already overdosed in a different town is not easy work.
The time, it's a waste of money. With more money into it than we'll ever get out of it. I think he's noble in his effort. He's trying to push forward the crisis that's going on in the state. I think there's better ways to help these people and get them to break the cycle.
A man looking for detox.
Justin says the solution is treatment.
From the day they get into recovery to a year or two later and watch the changes in them, and the changes they don't even see at first, then show somebody else what they've learned, and that's really the amazing stuff.
The Sanford fire chief believes that many people they rescue would not be able to pay those costs. Now, part of the bill states that if the agency does not make an effort to collect payment, DHHS could penalize that agency with a fine of $1,000 per incident. When we put the question out on our Facebook page, the responses were overwhelmingly on one side. People should pay if they have to be revived more than once.
All right, Chris, thank you very much. Lots of comments on Facebook and a lot of people with strong opinions about that. So thank you for weighing in.
Right.
Okay, hey, we know you were missing gray, rainy weather, right? Well, we've got good news because it's back.
Hey, hey.
We had like a whole day and a half of sunshine there for a while, but yeah, here's the rain, and some of this pretty heavy, getting locally enhanced as you look through the northern mid-coast in through down east. Just coming out of Bangor here, some pretty good bands in through Bar Harbor. We're going to see a lot of those tonight. Heavy rain bands, particularly along the coastline. They continue through at least the first half of tomorrow. Look at this low. This thing is huge. Big spinning low down here. It's somewhere the center of somewhere in maybe southern West Virginia, and all of that moisture has to lift on through before we start to settle down, which will be on Sunday, unfortunately. Temperatures, in the low 40s, 43 in Rockland, 44 in Portland. So it's a cold rain out there, and the rain bands will continue to drive on shore through midnight, after midnight, particularly over down East Maine. It might settle down a bit later in the day over western Maine, and then Sunday will feature some sunshine, but unfortunately not a ton. We'll talk about where this upper level low is leading us in just a few minutes.
93% of Mainers are not affected by this new proposal if it becomes a law.
Congressman Bruce Poliquin was one of many Republicans in the House to vote yes on a replacement for the Affordable Care Act. The American Health Care Act passed by just 4 votes. In a video conference call with reporters yesterday, Poliquin said that the bill would only affect 7% of the state's population, those who have insurance under Obamacare.
We reached out to Poliquin's press corps asking where the 7% came from. We still have not heard back. So let's start first with that percentage. According to Maine's Bureau of Insurance, only 5.6% of Maine's population signed up for the marketplace this year. But the bill passed through the House yesterday has the ability to impact many more people, no matter where their insurance comes from. The way it's written could allow insurance agencies to set premiums based on whether someone has a pre-existing condition. Information from the Kaiser Family Foundation shows non-elderly Mainers with declinable pre-existing conditions prior to Obamacare made up for 29% of the state's population.
Those 7% of Mainers will see them continue to have coverage for pre-existing conditions, will stabilize the insurance market such that premiums come down, and it's also going to be portable.
Okay, so yes, as it stands under the new American Health Care Act, coverage will not be denied. But again, states like Maine could allow insurance companies to charge much higher premiums to people with pre-existing conditions, affecting much more than just 7% of the state's population.
Yeah, so we know that you have questions about the American Health Care Act, and we are finding out those answers for you.
A lot of questions out there today. That's right. We've been looking through your comments today to work to get you answers. Here's one from Betty. She asks, is there a list of uncovered pre-existing conditions in this bill, or do we not have access to the text of the bill? Well, Betty, yes, anyone can read through the text of that bill. It is available online, and we have put it on our websites, too. We did comb through it. We did not find an official list of what would be considered a pre-existing condition. However, nonprofit group Kaiser Family Foundation did put together a list of conditions that commonly made insurers deny coverage in the past. This is a small portion of that list, including mental disorders, pregnancy, and alcohol abuse and drug abuse with recent treatment. Now, it is a long list, so you can also find that list on our website as well. Here's another question. Tom writes, under the new plan, do I have a right to cancel my insurance plan and just pay everything out of pocket? Well, under the plan, the requirement for individuals to have insurance, that part was thrown out. However, there could be a penalty for people who don't stay continuously covered. Of course, keep your questions coming. We're going to work to get you answers on them. Here's more news now. Have you seen this man? Lewiston police are looking for him. Kevin Mitchell is wanted in a felony sex assault case. The people who reported him missing say he hasn't been seen since the end of April. A taxi driver who survived a stabbing outside of a Portland strip club is now at a Boston hospital. His finger was nearly severed in the attack. Police say the driver put his hand up to protect himself as Justin Christensen stabbed him in the neck at PT Show Clubs. Club staff and bystanders did jump in to help him out. Christensen, by the way, is due in court on Monday. This just in, Katahdin Woods and Waters National Monument designation will be reviewed. The government will now decide if the designation was made with adequate public outreach and coordination with relevant stakeholders. Of course, Governor LePage jumped on this right away, tweeted out the list of which places will be reviewed as soon as it came in this afternoon. Of course, he was just in Washington this week. He's been pushing for the review of this designation. He wants it revoked for Katahdin Woods and Water.
Yeah, we've certainly heard a lot from that, and we will continue to hear more. Thanks, Adrian.
A man from Maine and his clothing company starting to catch people's eyes all across the nation. The former Skowhegan and Huston University football player Kyle Poissonier started the clothing line Catalyst for Change a few years ago. His Just a Kid from Maine shirts have taken off in our state, and now people from other states and other countries want shirts representing their homes as well. The company gives 10% of all proceeds to 2 specific charities, and then each year those charities change. It's a way for Poissonier to both do what he loves and give back to the state he loves at the same time.
Business is about dollars and cents, and it is about looking at things. But I'm extremely happy with the work that we're doing and the stories we get and the people we meet, because that's to me what it's all about.
The 2017 beneficiaries from Catalyst for Change Clothing are the Locker Project and the Maine chapter of the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. For more information on Catalyst for Change, just go to the Now section of our website.
He's been doing some great things for many years.
He has. Good guy. All right, coming up, we will meet today's thriving under 30 who is happy to be living back in her small town in Maine.
And a little bit later, most of us are looking at our smartphones all day. But could those smartphones actually make us dumb? A look at the science behind this coming up.
I'm so lucky. I mean, I just think about, I could have been anywhere in the world.
I did refuse to leave the state.
Not a bad place to be. It really isn't.
We've seen a tremendous amount of change.
I really think Maine has a lot to offer.
All week long, we've been showing you people thriving under 30 all across our state.
And tonight, News Center Zach Blanchard takes us to Houlton. Hey, Zach.
Hey, Amanda and Lee. It has been a great trip to just see some of the hardworking young people make a difference here. Now, 29-year-old Annie Torres Savage is no exception to that. She grew up in Houlton and never thought she would return. But after getting her master's degree outside of the state, she came back, started as a state social worker in Bangor, and realized she wanted a simpler life. Luckily, she was able to move her job and her husband to Houlton. When she isn't working, she volunteers, including for the county co-op and farm store, selling food and goods from local farms. She helped start that co-op just 2 years ago. And there was something about the heart of her small town that brought her home.
You know, you walk down the street and people say hi and genuinely care about what you're doing and want to know how you are, and that's one of the things I love about Houlton. Didn't expect to be a social worker, I didn't expect to live back in Houlton, but I'm glad that this is where my life has ended up.
Now, we are still taking nominations for people thriving under 30 out there and have some added to the section of our website already. Lee and Amanda.
All right, thank you very much, sir. Coming up next on Now, and I hope people at my home are watching this story. How often do you look at your phone during the day?
Phone is around. You know, the moment you feel slightly bored, you grab the phone and start socializing.
And how is that affecting your brain?
Ooh, plus, Keith is back with a horribly depressing forecast. Be honest, did you just look away from the screen to check if that was your cell phone going off?
Yeah, experts say that those smartphones are affecting our brains, and shockingly, not in a good way. So here's the tough question.
Are smartphones making us stupid?
Well, I think that is the question.
Nicholas Carr, for over a decade, has been examining how technology changes the user. In 2008, Carr questioned whether Google was making us stupid. That led to his Pulitzer Prize-nominated book, The Shallows, about how the internet actually rewires the human brain.
I think everything I talked about has been accelerated and exaggerated by the rise of the smartphone. We're connected with this very powerful technology that is interrupting us, distracting us, pretty much literally our entire waking lives.
There's a growing pile of research suggesting Carr is right. A Gallup poll found 81% of Americans have their phone on and near them every minute they are awake. 52% check their smartphone at least multiple times an hour. And all that phone checking is rewiring your brain.
Here's how. Every time your brain experiences something new, a new combination of brain cells called neurons gets connected. When that happens, it triggers a release of a chemical called dopamine, which makes us feel happy. That's the incentive to go back and repeat that activity, playing with your phone. Do it often enough, and that connection gets stronger, rewiring your brain. Now, when this happens, it's not always for the better.
California researchers found more screen time equals less sleep and poorer quality sleep. A Japanese study found the mere presence of a smartphone can be a distraction to a user. And at the University of Missouri, researchers found when separated from their phones, users had significant increases in anxiety, heart rate, and blood pressure, which got us wondering.
Can people get addicted to their smartphones?
I believe they actually can. People certainly find themselves frightened when they feel they've misplaced their phone, like just the threat of withdrawal, the threat of not being in contact with their phone makes them a little squirrely.
I don't think I have a phone dependence problem, but I'll admit when working, I'm on my 2 smartphones a lot. So are our anchors.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Scott Levin.
And I'm Mary Alice Demler.
During shows and when we go to commercial break, they go to their smartphones. Our jobs require being active on social media. But what we're finding is that Americans with smartphones socialize nonstop.
These days, you can socialize all the time. As long as your phone is around, you know, the moment you feel slightly bored, you grab the phone and start socializing.
But doctors are finding for young people with smartphones, all that social media using is leaving them short when it comes to important social skills.
Do you see things like failure to sustain eye contact?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I would say that's one of the biggest things with younger populations, and it's uncomfortable for them because they don't have to make eye contact to get their needs met.
Do you see problems with that, associated with that?
Well, when you interview for your first job, it will probably not be with a computer.
Okay, so maybe consider a few timeouts from your phone, like leaving it out of the bedroom before you go to sleep and away from the dining room table before mealtime, and find activities that do not include these. Get outside.
Which are yours. My phone, not here. Okay. So don't you hate it when uninvited house guests just pop in to say hello? How about when it's a black bear? So this little guy came for the bare necessities in Freiburg this week.
You had to fit that one in there, huh? This video was taken by Roosevelt Bishop at 4 in the morning, by the way, when he and his mother saw the bear on the deck eating from their bird feeder. By the way, bird feeders and trash left outside do attract those animals. This guy left after getting a little snack.
It's kind of cute. I wouldn't want them on my deck, but
yeah, I don't know about
cute.
that.
They are cute. There was actually a black bear in the Weather Channel parking lot last week, and it was between a giant highway and the parking lot. And then security didn't tell anyone until like the next day.
Wait,
I kind of want to know.
Keith, did you work at the Weather Channel?
Yeah, this was last week. Gosh.
That's weird. I didn't know that.
I didn't know that.
Fine, let's do the weather.
Can we verify that?
No. Yeah, let's do a verify on that. Turns out I'm good with Photoshop. Whoa, whoa, jeez.
Oh, workplace hazard.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Keith just tripped.
All right, let's talk about the rain out there right now. Pretty heavy stuff, particularly towards Bangor. Look at this really heavy band that's moving in, and a bunch more where that came from. Center of the low is here across West Virginia, and as you can see, there's a lot of distance between that low and us, which means it's going to be raining tonight and through most of the day tomorrow before we settle down on Sunday. Rainfall amounts are going to be pretty high. I'll show you those in a second. So there's the low. Warm front is really the biggest thump of that. That's what's going on right now and through the rest of this evening. Then the low settles over us on Sunday. What happens then is we do dry a little bit at the lower and mid levels of the atmosphere. So I think we'll see some sunshine at least on Sunday, but also some showers still hanging around. No question, Sunday the better of the 2 weekend days. Unfortunately, Saturday isn't all that much of a high standard to go by. Monday, upper level low still around, so still some scattered showers and some clouds in there as well. So hour by hour forecast showing you these bands of rain, heaviest along the coastline and the mid-coast and down east, I think in particular, see the heaviest rain. Saturday, you see those bands continuing to move in. Notice in the afternoon over western Maine, we might see a brightening of the sky at least. I don't think we're going to see any sunshine, but it might brighten up a little bit there Saturday afternoon. And then on Sunday, you'll notice that low-level drying being depicted as some sunshine on Sunday in between those rain showers. So relatively speaking, not too bad. The heaviest rain will be right here over down east. About 3 inches is predicted, and over 3 inches as you head into kind of extreme down east Maine, eastern Maine. Flood watches now for the entire coastline, but I think the best chance of flooding will be in down east. So after this storm, the general pattern is going to be such that the wettest weather will be over northern and down east Maine, and the best chance of sunshine will be over southern coastal Maine and into New Hampshire. I see some hope in all of this. You know, these upper level lows often look a lot worse than they really turn out to be, and I've started to depict that more in my forecast. For example, I think Tuesday and Thursday are not terrible days. That being said, it's not that warm in the 50s, and then Friday might be finally a dry day, totally.
Finally,
we can only
like
dream.
A week from now.
It's literally a week from now.
Wow,
yeah.
my
All
goodness.
right, well, thanks, Keith.
And we'll take it.
We'll be right back.
Taylor, please reach out, and
I would love to meet you, and hopefully everything is going well for you too.
Earlier this week, we came across a beautiful story of a random act of kindness, and it's been resonating with Mainers far and wide, shared hundreds of times online with dozens of comments. Tonight, the family who was so moved by the act has a message for that stranger. Lonnie and his daughter Misty finished their grocery shopping at a Hannaford in Augusta Monday night when they came out to their car to find this. On their windshield was a small heart-shaped balloon and an envelope that said, "Dear stranger." Hopefully we'll see it soon. There it is. Inside was a handwritten note signed by Taylor. It reads in part, "I don't know you. I don't know your name, your religion, your race, or even if you will truly read this, but I know you're trying your best in this challenge called life." Lonnie and Misty were incredibly moved as they recently moved to the area from Presque Isle, and moments before they discovered the letter, they fell short at the checkout line in Hannaford.
It was really surprising. It actually gave me that feeling like I'm really welcomed into the city, considering that, the day before I actually left, that I was so nervous, scared, going to a different environment.
I mean, it was a good feeling knowing that, hey, someone actually cares. Someone who's been there.
Since this story took off, many of you have been asking for more positive stories like it. And if you see a good deed being done or know of someone trying to pay it forward, please tell us, because we want more stories like that one too.
That was nice.
That was sweet.
Yeah, I like stories like that. Keep them coming.
We go from that to today's Brain Drops, which involves death.
No.
It is the 10 most dangerous jobs. The census, the stats come out from the Labor Department every year, and some of them remain very similar. So this year's list, we're going to, I believe, start with number 1, which is going to be logging. So if you're basically a lumberjack, I mean, so the hazards here are obvious, right? And we included salary just to see if it's worth the risk or reward. Okay, number 2, one that's near and dear to many Mainers' hearts, is fishermen and related work. Now, if you're a lobsterman in Maine, you're hauling more than that for cash, but that's a median, so just be aware of that. And it is dangerous for a variety of reasons. Weather is one of the biggest ones, of course, but there is machinery involved. And so I think it also takes that into account. As far as one that surprised me, airline pilots. Nice salary, $120,000 a year. Oh. But statistically, they had a relatively high fatality rate. They're also including private airliners, though. So if you had a GS3 and it crashed, this would count and all this. Commercial airline pilots, obviously, statistically not too bad. And garbage collectors, also one of the most dangerous jobs you can do.
I bet
Traffic.
Yep, it's the traffic.
Traffic is the main thing there. Cabbies were another one.